when we look at it deeper, Jesus already knew what was going to happen. And that God already has this plan, and that us taking action of what we have and showing that we're thankful and showing that we're grateful for what we have and not sad and distraught for the things that we don't have. And so the first verses that we're going to pull up are verses 5 to 8. Because again, we're going to look at, we take inventory of what we have because there seems to be this need, there seems to be this calling, there's purpose, something that needs to be done. And here it starts with verse 5 to 8. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. And Philip answered him, 8 months' wages would not be enough bread for each one to have just a bite. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up, and here's the boy, 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And so we see that this idea of taking inventory is because we want to see what we have compared to maybe God is calling us to do something more. Maybe God is calling to give more. Maybe God sees that there's a business opportunity that he wants you to pursue, or family and coworkers he wants you to reach out, and something is needed, and we know that it's not enough. We know what we have right now isn't enough. But we see there's a need. He's put a calling in our heart. He's given us a purpose. He's given us a reason to do what we need to do. And so we take inventory because we don't want to just take things half-heartedly and say, okay, we're going to do it. Let's just do it. But to be realistic, what do we have? Do we have 5 loaves and 2 fish? What do you have that God's calling you to use, to give, to do good, to do whatever it is that he's calling you to do? So it is, do you have time that he's asking you to spend with someone that may not know him? Or is he asking you to give a little more from what you're making for whatever reason? Or is he asking you to show love and to compassion to someone who is really hard to do that? It almost feels like I can't do that. I don't have enough love to share with these people. But you know he's edging you and pushing you to the edge of your seat to do this and to pursue those who do not know him. Those who are your family and your friends that don't know him. So again, taking inventory of what we have. And part of that reality, the same way that Philip saw that how could we possibly feed these people? 8 months won't even be enough. That our lens and our outlook and our perspective will always lean towards, but we can't do that. I can't do that. Look, I only have $5 and I need $10 to take my friend out to lunch. Or that I only have this amount of time of break when I want to spend more time with my family, or I want to spend more time with my friends. That the possibilities and outcomes pop up and they always seem to lean towards, but I can't do that. That's impossible. What I have right now in front of me isn't enough to do what you're asking me to do. And so that's part of taking inventories, being able to look at what we have and not say, okay, I realize and I acknowledge this isn't enough. I'm not going to gloss over this small amount of what I have and already dismiss that I'm not going to be able to do it. So many times taking inventory falls in line with knowing that if I can't do it, then what I have isn't enough. I'll just dismiss it. I'll put it aside and maybe wait for the time that I do have enough, and then I'll be able to pursue this new job, or we'll be able to live in a new house. We'll be able to live in a new town. I'll be able to spend more time with my family, my friends. But we see here that it's the times when we don't have enough and we truly lift it up and give it to God that He'll turn that around and use it in ways that we never could even have imagined. And so again, taking inventory is seeing what we have, acknowledging and realizing the fact that it isn't enough. That it isn't enough. And that the outcome and possibilities that we can perceive aren't even close to what God has in store and what God has planned for us. And so in the next step, looking at, okay, if I know I don't have enough, if I know this isn't enough, and it feels impossible and it doesn't look like it's going to be able to cover the needs that I have or the things that you're calling me to do, in this ability to have this heart of gratitude, the next step in looking towards this heart of gratitude is being able to take action in giving thanks. We look at verse 11 here, and we look at, okay, now that Jesus says that we've lifted up, we've taken inventory, the little boy has taken inventory and given what little he's had up to his heavenly Father. He's given it to Jesus, and we see in 11, Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. And so we see when it's this taking action, it's not only giving what we have, the little that we have, giving it up to Christ, but also in a way we're thankful for what you have given us. Taking that inventory and being thankful for what seems like not enough, and the little amount that we have, we're thankful for that, and we're giving it back to you, knowing that there's so much more you can do with it. And I want to say, if in one thing that I've come to know in just managing my finances and being straight out of college, I can honestly say now that, okay, I have a job now and I've graduated. Before it was kind of easy to tithe. I had whatever money I had, and I could just put it there, and I didn't have many bills. I only had my wants. I didn't have anything that I needed to pay on a monthly basis, whatever you have it. But now, having to budget and work around the money that I have and being able to use it effectively, it's now come, okay, tithing more feels harder now. To give more is hard. To tithe is hard because now I'm in a stage of life where I have to make sure that, okay, God has blessed me with this, and now I have to be a good steward of that and handle it well, but still know that I need to tithe. And so for me, taking action in tithing has been hard. It's already been hard. How much harder would it be if I took action and said, God, can you really use this? Can I be thankful for what you've given me? And ask me, hey, in the same way that Jesus gave thanks, in other versions it says he gave thanks and blessed the food. In that same way, how can I take what I have and give thanks and take action and be thankful have this heart of gratitude with the little that I have, and not only take action through giving it back to you the best way I can, but also know I'm asking God, can you bless this? I'm thankful and grateful. I'm grateful for what you've given me, and now this calling, this need, this purpose, things that you want me to do require more. And who would have thought if I need more, if something requires more, to give away what I have for it to be accomplished, for God to really move in our lives. And it's those times you always hear God's strongest, or he does the most when we're at our weakest, or when we're at our lowest. And as I was reading through this, I've seen that, okay, that this is a moment where when we don't have enough, when we give it to our Heavenly Father, it's more than enough to cover what we need. And on top of that, there's extra, and He gives out abundantly because we stayed faithful in what He's called us to do and gave back to that, gave back to Him. And so we looked at taking inventory of what we have, whether it be our time, our money, our love, our relationships, and seeing the outcome and the needs and the callings and the purpose He's put in our lives. And now we take action in being thankful and having a true heart of gratitude and giving it back to Him, not just hopelessly or just because it's the last-ditch effort, but we give it back thankful for what He has given us. With gratitude, we give back what is His so that He can use it how He sees fit. Because we go into the next verse, we go into verse 6 first, and we see again that Jesus already knew what was going to happen. Philip asked, "Where shall we buy this bread?" And Jesus had only asked to test him, because Jesus already had a plan in mind what was going to happen. In that same way, God, our Heavenly Father, already has this plan in store for us, already knows what's going to happen. But it's this on our part. Are we going to be able to take inventory and take action in being thankful in what we have and give it back to Him, knowing that He can do so much more with it? And so we see in verse 12 and 13 that after everyone had eaten, gather up the pieces that are left over, let nothing be wasted. And we see that when He gathered up all the pieces, that after everyone was full, everyone had eaten, that there was all this extra, and it was so abundant that it filled up 12 baskets with the 5 barley loaves left over. More times, often than not, what we have isn't enough. We have God who gives out abundantly to those who are faithful and truly believe in Him, that when we give it to Him, what we have is enough, and we give it to Him, it's more than enough to cover what we need and have extra and be abundant in its supply. And here we see that it happened almost in this instant. It was a miracle, this moment. But we look at knowing that if God has a plan and we're to follow and to do the best of our ability to follow that and do that, that what happens when we take inventory and we take action, how long is it going to be that these things will come to fruition? Having this heart of gratitude cannot be stressed more enough when we see that we're taking action, but things may not be going our way. The things that you've called us to do aren't happening. the reason, the purpose that you have for us hasn't come to fruition yet. And the heart of gratitude, just when Jesus said it was testing Philip, the heart of gratitude that we're asked to have will be tested not during this season of Thanksgiving. Not because there's a holiday for Thanksgiving. It puts it at the forefront and it makes it almost this norm in culture to be thankful. But the heart of gratitude that we're focusing is after this Thanksgiving season, is after the holidays of Christmas, is after the start of the new year when we're thankful for what we have and look forward to the future. But it may come in February, March,